Well, they're very unpopular because they're unpopular among Democrats because they lost an election. That is why people belong to a political party. However, I'm forced to point out that since the election and every special has been held, Democrats have won. So people are voting for us. I don't care what the Gallup party favorability is as long as we win elections. And by the way, Piers, we're going to win elections in Virginia like big. When I say big, I mean like really big. We're going to win in New Jersey. And we're not going to have a party leader until we have a presidential nominee. It just doesn't, it can't happen any other way. And boy, do we have some talented people thinking about running for president. I think that future is just fine.
Name one.
Thank you.
Name one. Name one talented Democrat that's going to run for president.
I mean, it's interesting because Kamala Harris was unable to name a single person, or didn't want to, that she thought was part of this extraordinarily exciting group of people that could lead the party. Are you prepared to name some names?
Yeah.
Oh, I could name 7 names off the top of my head. All right, but then y'all name 7, and there's 3 more I didn't name. I have never seen a political party at a point in my entire life in politics, which is like 50 years, that has more talent than the current Democratic Party has. And
like who?
That is a
name these 7 names that you have off the top of your head. Who is it? Newsom. Let's see if I could try Newsom, Booty Juice, Beto O'Rourke, maybe, huh? Beto, remember Beto? He could be back and president for him. Maybe Kamala could run again. Who else? Bernie Sanders? No, not Bernie. He's going to be too old. AOC? Is AOC going to be running, huh? That's 5. Okay. Who else? Who else? I can't think of anybody else. I can't even think of 5. And he's expecting us to believe that he has 7 off the top of his head. Bullshit.
Knowledge, fact among people who cover national politics and pay attention to national politics closely. And I don't think...
Well, give me a name.
You know, I mean, Vice President Harris, Whitmer, Bashir, Shapiro, Moore, Warnock. I don't know if Harris is at the same time.
Whitmer, you think Governor Whitmer is going to run for president? Holy cow. Holy Lord. Yeah, please trot out Governor Whitmer, please. I'm sure that's going to be a successful campaign.
Talent level that these people are at. I'm talking about sheer, raw, naked political communication skill. I have never seen better than I see right now, waiting in the wings to run for president. And to not acknowledge that,
James, all due respect, James, but all due respect,
go ahead.
When the
you
first
don't have to have
name
respect, just do it.
When the first, that's why I like you.
Just do it. You don't need to respect.
When the first name you, I get it. Well, let me do it without respect then. The first name you gave me was Kamala Harris, right? I watched her on Colbert, and I witnessed the 2 of the reasons actually why the Democrats are in such disarray, and also why late night television is in such disarray in America.
I don't
the
think
second
Harris
part
was the first name I gave.
It was.
I thought Whitmer was the first name I gave you.
No, you said Kamala first.
If she runs, it's fine. She's one of...
He didn't say Harris. He said Harry, as in Harry Sisson, huh?
Of any number of people. And maybe she'll be better if she runs in 2028 than she was in 2024.
Wisdom comes with age, right?
But I would not consider her in terms of expert communicators in the top tier of current Democrats.
No, but that's the point. She's the first name you gave me, and she's a complete and utter dud.
I don't know if she was the first name I gave her.
Yeah, I'm going to go back because I don't remember him saying, to be fair, I don't remember him saying that either. Let's see here. Where am I at right now? 3425. Okay, let's see here.
In politics, which is like 50 years, that has more talent than the current Democratic Party has. And that is a pretty much acknowledged fact among people who cover national politics and pay attention to national politics closely. And I don't think.
Well, give me a name.
You know, I mean, Vice President Harris, Whitmer, Bashir, Shapiro.
Oh, okay. So he didn't say Harris. So he was completing a thought, and Piers he was completing a thought. He was going to say something about Kamala Harris, and then Piers asked him, "Well, give me a name," and then that's when he was like, "Oh, well, Whitmer, Bashir, Shapiro." So yeah, he's actually right. He didn't throw out Kamala Harris, because even I was wondering, I was like, I don't remember him saying Kamala Harris, but that's where the confusion is. Okay. All right. Well, now that we cleared that up.
I mean, she's a complete and utter dud.
I don't know if she was the first name I gave or what order I gave the name. I mean, how stupid is that?
She would not inspire me.
I gave you 7 names.
She would not inspire me.
I gave you 7 names.
Yeah, she wouldn't inspire me. She wouldn't inspire me to open a bag of chips. And she was a total disaster in the last election. It's why Trump won.
Look, Trump won because the Democratic Party, the country wanted change. They didn't want Biden to run. Biden didn't get out until July 21st, and Harris refused to say where she changed. You're exactly right. But I admit that 2024 was, I lay it right at the foot of the Democratic Party. But I don't know what that doesn't have anything to do with going forward. The fact that we have all of this talent, and all you want to do is talk about Harris, which doesn't make any sense.
Because she's the first.
Look at the staggering people we have out there. I don't know who the first name I mentioned was. I mentioned 7 names. It doesn't matter what order. I said I could mention 9, but this is a stupid argument. If it's the first or the 10th name I mentioned, it doesn't. I don't understand what you're talking about, Piers.
All right. Yeah. So enough of that. Let's go on. Oh, let's see what hippy dippy lady says here.
For everyone.
And of course, she has a cat on her microphone. Of course she would. You know, it's probably a picture of her actual cat. You know, one of her 7 cats.
And with money left over, that's what the center should be. And somehow we're saying we should move even further to the right of it, when our grandparents would think that's the center as well. And it's time for Democrats to recognize that the old playbook is thrown out the window. We need people in power that understand the right, that also understand messaging, and they're not ashamed of their views.
All right.
Again, the problem is that the left should absolutely be ashamed of their views. They have horrible views on everything. So the Democrats has to revamp everything, but they won't, because they genuinely want these policies in there. So that's not going to change. They're still going to advocate for socialism, which nobody wants, at least as a country. I guess there might be some stupid people out there that want it, but overall, like, you know, I guess she wants more of a lefty type of thing. And again, I don't think that's what people want. People have already rejected all this leftiness.
Joe Walsh, look, there's obviously a lot of debate going on between Democrats. That's why I got everyone here, actually, to talk about this. It is a fascinating moment in time for the Democrat Party. But I'm not hearing yet what the brave new world is that is actually going to be a successful election play in a general election. I've got no doubt that, as with all opposition scenarios, that the Democrats will win well in local, state governors and so on. Of course they will. Everybody does. But when it comes to a national election in 2028, I would be really concerned if I was a Democrat right now about, well, where is this talisman or taliswoman who is going to ignite this party? It won't be AOC. It cannot be somebody who has her views or who has that voice, frankly. It can't be her. It definitely can't be Kamala Harris. It can't be somebody ancient like Joe Biden.
What? Why can't it be Kamala? Why can't it be AOC? Well, those are perfectly good candidates. Why can't it be those women, huh?
Biden who can't string a sentence together. I think it should be somebody like a Bill Clinton, somebody who's a centrist, really, with common sense views, liberal sensibilities, but in the right way. But he doesn't sound like a screaming socialist lunatic. Your thoughts?
Or even like Obama or something, you know? I mean, Obama got elected twice. You know, you need to find those Democrats again. You know, I think even Hillary could have won if it wasn't Hillary. If it was someone that had the same rhetoric as Hillary, but it was just not Hillary, I think they could have won in 2016. You know, you need to go back to that.
Well, I agree with a lot of that, Pierce, but I also agree with Kat on a lot. Look, as someone who, former Tea Party guy, I became a Democrat 8 to 9 weeks ago.
So is this just a panel full of fucking morons? So is Piers the only one that's normal here? Is he the one that's going to be pushing back on this stuff? Piers, come on, man. You have to have one person. Hell, you couldn't even had Candace stick around for a little bit longer and have her argue with these fucks?
Because this is an unprecedented moment in American politics. My former party is a fascist party, but you're right, Pierce. They won. So how do Democrats beat that? I think Democrats need authentic people. They need candidates who are authentic. I could give a damn what their communication skills are. Kat's right. I want a Democrat who can look in the camera, look at a bunch of people and say, this is who I am. This is what I believe. I don't give a damn if this pisses you off. And Pierce, I don't care whether that person comes from the progressive wing or where I am, the more moderate wing. Democrats need a populist. They need a fighter. Trump, is a pretend populist, but Democrats have been AWOL during this populist moment.
Who is it? Snake Uger? Huh? Oh, he's doing his Snake Uger impression? Yeah, Trump is a fake populist, but Bernie Sanders, he's a real populist.
They need a fighter, Pierce, wherever that comes from.
Well, they do, but Harry Sisson, they also need, I think James Carville himself said last week, you've got to, as a party, you've got to park the trans stuff. You can't keep telling Americans it's fine for biological men to compete. Well, Kat, you can roll your eyes, because I know the Democrats love to think in their quaint little way that nobody cares. Trust me, they care. Right? When they hear
I am the only woman on this panel.
Well, hang on.
I am the only person here involved with recreational sports where I play with trans people, by the way. I'm the only woman on here that'll probably have a family in the next decade. I am the person that you are talking about that should be concerned about this, and I'm not, because this is a manufactured issue. It is a manufactured issue.
This is the problem. This is why you won't win elections.
How much?
No,
that's just not true.
That's why you won't win.
People under the bus.
When you deny science and biology, you will not win an election. I can absolutely take that to the bank for you.
You are
will
so
not
obsessed
win
with this,
as long as you keep trying to.
Oh my gosh, she is insufferable. These people, once they found out the trans issue was a losing issue, then they started backing away from saying, "Oh, it's manufactured." The right made it up to, they pretty much build up this monster for themselves to fight against and such. But no, the left are the ones that made the trans issue a big issue. They're the ones that are like, we need to allow trans women. We need to allow trans women in the bathrooms. That was our big issue. Trans women in bathrooms. We need it. Equal rights. They need it. And then that freaking snowballed all the way down to they need to compete in sports. Equality. It was them that made the big deal out of it. But now that it's a losing issue, they're backing away saying, oh, well, that's a manufacturer. We don't really care much about the trans issue. Oh, by the way, trans people are only like 1% of the population, which is what we were saying before. They're only 1% of the population. So why are we flipping society topsy-turvy just to make them the most comfortable? We were making that argument, but they started using it. Well, by the way, they're only the 1%. Why do you care so much about trans people? Why do you guys make a big deal out of it? And it's like, well, you guys brought it up, but now they're trying to back away from it. If there's one thing that Democrats need to do, they need to learn how to accept responsibility. Once you learn that, hey, listen, once you realize that, hey, listen, we did get carried away with the trans stuff. Hey, we did, get carried away with this. Hey, we were a little bit too authoritarian, because I think it was a main problem, is that they were too authoritarian. We did kind of get a little carried away. We can't do that stuff anymore. Once you do that, then you could fix the problems, but you're refusing to do that. And that's a big reason on why there is no hope for this party, at least as of now. Now, going forward to the newfound retard's point over here, the 9-week-old retard over here, he is right in that the left does need someone genuine, I think that is why AOC connects with people, because they feel AOC is genuine. Same with like Bernie Sanders, they feel like, oh yeah, he's genuine, you know, that they're actual populists, you know. And so I think that is why the AOCs and the Bernie Sanders resonate with people. So he is partially right there, but there's so many things the Democrats need to fix. So many things the Democrats need to fix if they actually want to win elections again. And personal responsibility and genuineness are two of them.
To the
As long as you
woman.
keep trying to
You're saying
tell,
that this is
as
hurting
long as you
women and
try and-
girls. Can you name 5
I'm saying, listen,
WNBA players?
I'm saying
off
if
the
you
top of
hang
your
around
head?
with your progressive mates, and you all boast about how many trans athletes you know and how it doesn't have any impact on women's sport, and then we all watch the Paris Olympics and we watch a biological male who had been banned from the World Championships for testing positive for male chromosomes beating up a young female Italian boxer so badly the boxer quit after 40 seconds, and that biological male
You are
wins
just
gold.
spreading
Yeah,
misinformation at
there
this
is a
point. There are
problem.
plenty of athletes
No,
that have
that's-
Michael
No,
Phelps
no,
is
that is
basically his
accurate
entire body is
information.
made to swim. Like the
Michael
fact that
Phelps
you're
is a
talking about
man.
the fact that you're talking about common sense solutions, all this stuff, and then every single time you want to talk about things, you bring up trans people when they are just trying to live their lives is ridiculous. What we actually need to do to
There's
win
nothing to do
elections
with them
is
living their
meet
lives.
material needs. That is what's
Kat, this is
happening
where
right
you're
now.
so
We need to
wrong.
be using
Kat,
meeting
let me
people's material
respond.
needs are wrong.
Is her name Kat? And her name's Kat. Like, does she get any more stereotypical? Was she made in a lefty lab somewhere, a hippy dippy lab, to be their new hippy dippy prototype?
Let me respond. I have nothing but respect for trans people. Always have said that publicly, loudly, and proudly. I want trans people to have the same rights to fairness, equality, and safety that all of us enjoy. Right? I've always said this. However, at the moment, what's been happening in the last few years is the trans rights lobby has been aggressively eroding women's rights to fairness, equality,
I am a
and
woman
safety.
who likes
And that's when I have a big problem.
sports.
And if you want to run something in America,
like
you want to be an
women's sports,
elected
then you wouldn't
official,
want
if
trans
you're going to
people
run
in
on a
there.
ticket that nobody cares and it doesn't matter, I'm telling you, you will lose. And your party, if they have a leader that also believes this bullshit, is also going to lose. It is as simple as that. Let me go to James. In fact, let me go to Harry on this. Harry, where do you sit? I mean, are we at the stage where I can ask you what a woman is yet or not?
Well, I just think this conversation, I agree with, I just think it's so meaningless. Like, I think if the Republican candidate in Kat's district would run solely on trans issues, Kat would love it. She'd be so happy because she's going to talk about affordability and the issues that actually matter to people, not this like whole made up, culture war issue. And that it extends to the national scale.
Yeah, it's not made up.
It's
It
not
absolutely
made
is
up when
manufactured. Piers, this is
That's what they do, though. Now that they know it's a losing issue, now they're distancing themselves away from it. Now they're saying it's made up or it's a right-wing propaganda. They're trying to move away from it all they could. That's all they're doing. We all know they're the ones who started this whole mess about the trans people. I remember it all started with trans people should be able to use the women's restrooms. That's where it all began.
so disingenuous.
Oh my God, man.
Piers, listen. In 2028, do you think that if JD Vance ran simply on trans issues and you had like a Gavin Newsom talking about affordability, do you think that people would actually vote for JD Vance in that election?
Yes.
Nobody's going to run on.
Yes, because Gavin Newsom talking about affordability would have been the biggest fucking joke when everything's so expensive here in California. Gavin Newsom talking about affordability would have been the biggest crock of shit that anyone would have ever heard. So yeah, JD Vance, even if his only issue was trans issues, he would have won in a landslide.
Just trans issues. But if you
Okay,
think that
all right,
Donald Trump
exactly.
didn't win, well, hang on.
Wait,
Let me
hold on, hold
respond.
on.
We're trying
That
to
means
talk
you
about
acknowledge-
affordability
Let
and
me give you
common
my
sense.
answer.
You're talking about
Let me give
trans
you
people.
my considered.
Go ahead.
Let me give you my considered answer, Harry. Right? I think Trump won for 3 reasons. I think 1, the economy. I think 2, immigration. And I think 3, the culture war stuff that you guys love to play down, but also love to fuel. So when there's a Sydney Sweeney ad comes out, you all throw your toys out the stroller and make it a huge story.
That's another thing too. I bet you Harry's gonna be like, no one cares about the Sydney Sweeney ad. No one cares about that. What we actually want to talk about is affordability. You know, like he's gonna deflect and say no one cares about it because I've seen that. I've seen people on those saying that no one cares about the Sydney Sweeney commercial. That's just manufactured outrage. I've already seen it. But we all know that they care. Are we just making up the videos that we've seen online, the TikToks from the deranged lunatic left that are saying it's Nazi propaganda? Like, are we just making that up? No, we're not. No, lefties are actually melting down about it. But I'm willing to bet right now that Harry Sisson's going to lie and say no one cares about the commercial, Piers.
But actually, people care about this stuff.
Nobody,
They
no,
do
I don't know
not
a single
want
Democrat.
trans athletes
Sorry, go
in
ahead.
women's sports.
I
James
don't know a
Carville
single
is right
Democrat.
about
Say
this.
the line.
I'll come in a moment. But you're so
Ah,
wrong,
no,
you guys.
Piers.
If you think
Piers, no, let him talk. He was going to say the line.
this is a winning proposition,
All right.
Pierce, I don't know a single Democrat on your Sydney Sweeney thing who actually is angry at the ad. You know me. We've talked
Knew it.
before. I love Joe
I
Biden.
fucking
I'm
knew
as
it.
I've
Democratic
had
as
them
you can
on
get.
my show.
I couldn't care. Well, then they're
Mark
not
Lamont
representative
Hill
of the
was
Democratic
literally
Party.
spitting blood.
Then Pierce,
Mark Lamont
listen to me
Hill's
when
a
I say this. They
Democrat.
are
He's
not
spitting blood.
represented. They are not representative of the Democratic Party. You talk to your average Democrat on the street. You ask them about the Sydney Sweeney Jean ad. They're on their way to work. They don't give a shit.
They're on their way to work. That's funny. More like they're on their way to vandalize the local the nearest Tesla that they see.
They couldn't care less if she's wearing jeans
This
in
is
an
where
ad.
you guys are so wrong. Harry.
Oh, wait, I'm saying, Pierce, I'm saying the opposite
You
of what
guys
you're
are
arguing
so
right now. I'm
wrong.
saying I don't care about the
You
ad.
guys
I
are
don't
so-
care.
Tyler.
Harry,
Also good to see
you're
you too,
wrong.
Benjamin.
Let me tell you why I think you're wrong.
ahead.
Respectfully. Or not respectfully. You can play
not
the James
respectfully.
Carville thing of saying,
No,
I don't
I
care
like
about
the
your
respect,
That's
Pierce.
fine.
I like the respect.
I think this. I think it's a number of things. If it's J.D. Vance in 2028, he'll run on economy and immigration, probably fewer foreign
And he'll
wars,
lose.
all the things that made Trump popular. But he'll also run hard on the culture war stuff if you lot are still running on absolute nonsense.
Pierce, let's cite our friend James Carville. It'll come down to it's the economy, stupid. Donald Trump in 2020 tried to run on culture war issues. There were Republican senators in 2020 who tried to run on culture war issues in their states, and they lost because the economy was failing. The economy was failing the average hardworking American.
God.
So if J.D.
They're all a
Vance in
bunch of
2028 wants
liars.
to run on the economy and immigration,
They're all a
he'll
bunch
lose
of
because people are
liars.
outraged by what inflation going up.
Bunch of fucking liars. Yeah, why was the economy bad? Well, because of COVID. And even by the end of Trump's term, like the economy was on its way to improving. Like it was on its way back up under Trump.
People being kidnapped off the streets by masked agents. And if he wants to throw the culture war issues
Well,
in
you
there,
were 3.5
he'll
years
lose
away
still.
from that election. I would wait and see.
Yes.
I'd wait and see how that plays out. James
Hey,
Carville,
Pierce, Pierce.
I'm going to James. Let me get hang
no,
on,
Pierce,
Joe.
I'm just
I
gonna
want to go to
say-
James. 'Cause Jay,
Okay.
yeah, Joe. Quickly.
No, I was just going to
Quickly,
say
Joe.
quickly, I agree with Harry and Kat on the issue, but Pierce, I agree with you on the politics. Look, I used to be a culture
Yes.
war fighter on the right. Republicans throw out this stuff and Democrats never.
Say what you will about James Carville, but I think he's like the smartest one there. Like I covered his debate a few months ago where it was him and what's that fucking twerp's name? The anti-gun twerp. I forgot his name. But anyway, and he was like mostly right on like some of the things that the Democrats need to be doing, mostly. Not all of it. He's still stupid, like on some things. But out of these nitwits over here, I could see why James Carville is like having an aneurysm over here.
fight back. And it matters. And it did cost them. It all matters. The transgender issue matters. And the great irony is most Americans are where Democrats are, where you are, Pierce, on the issue. Transgender Americans should have full rights. Let them live their life in peace.
Yeah.
And we embrace them all. When it comes to transgender women in sports, man, the competition's got to be fair, period. That's where
David
most
Hawk.
Americans
That's
are.
His name.
Democrats need to fight that fight because most Americans
You know where we
are
have
with-
most of our data about transgender.
Yeah, and by the way, the idea
military.
Democrats do not.
and the
The
military
idea that
has
Democrats
shown
do not.
that there is not a
Yeah.
physical benefit. Like this is
Oh,
our
it's complete
U.S.
nonsense,
military.
Kat.
This is just data from the U.S. military of soldiers who have transitioned.
It's nonsense. Of course,
Yeah, it is
men
nonsense.
okay, so let me take your.
They are getting benefits. They are getting tax-funded coverage for their health care. I fact-checked it. I forgot, like, obviously she's using like loopholes, like
Argument
not
to
loopholes,
its
but just
logical
like
extension.
like technicalities. That's what I'm looking for. She's using technicalities, but they are getting taxpayer funded healthcare for their transitioning and stuff like that. So she's lying when she says that.
Why don't we make the Olympics gender neutral? One gender, anyone can enter any race. You up for that?
I think there should be plenty of gender neutral sports, frankly. I mean, I love doing that in kickball leagues.
No,
I'm pretty good at it.
Sorry, you're just saying you just said there's no physical advantage for men. So let's have gender neutral Olympics where you can be male or female and it's all in one gender neutral sport, right? Would you do that for the whole Olympics? Yes or no?
Sure. I'm not in charge of the Olympics, but
right. You've just literally ensured that no women would win an Olympic gold medal again, with the possible exception of equestrian and I think one form of shooting. Other than that, no women ever win an Olympic medal ever again. Thank you, Kat Abu. Brilliant. What a brilliant election-winning campaign message. The Olympics are going to be gender neutral, says Kat Abu. I'm not voting for you in a million light years. James Carville,
I don't think you live in my district.
You said last week. You know what? If your district could hear you talking about gender neutral Olympics, they think you were insane. James Carville, last week you said...
Oh, they're so smug and insufferable. This woman, like, geez.
Well, look, let's go to old James, as you ridiculed him, but actually one of the smartest guys in American modern politics for the last 40 years. James, you said last week that Democrats have to let this trans stuff go. So listening to two young Democrats here, making it clear they don't think it's a problem. And by the way, we should have gender neutral Olympics. What is your reaction?
My reaction is that's up to athletic governing bodies. I'm just not into the 400-meter dash at the girls' track meet in Minnesota. Okay, that they set rules and whatever they are, and I think they ought to be men's sport, and I think they ought to be women's sports. I've come to really love women's basketball. I think it's even a fast.
James Carville just said he's really come to love women's basketball. That's good. That's hilarious. I feel like he has to kind of say that, because of for his Democrats like following, like for the Democrat buddies, he kind of has to say that.
Play the game, but I think we should keep men and women's basketball. But I really don't spend a lot of time worrying about this. It's not a very big issue in my life. And we had 10,000 sports governing agencies in the United States, and they can figure out the fairest way to compete. But I want to make a point. The people that are going to decide the direction of the Democratic Party are going to be people that vote in the primaries in 2028. And I think that they have a really good record when they're given a choice, which they were not given in 2024, of picking pretty strong candidates. So I am not at all that worried. And you're right, if AOC is very talented, she wants to run, she should run. I'm telling everybody, all of you should run. And then let's let the voters, not the commentators, not the consultants, not the columnists, Democratic voters are going to decide the direction their party's going to go in. And I'm very, very happy with that conclusion.
Let me tell you, I have more chance of becoming the next president of the United States than Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. And I'm not even American. That's how low her chances are.
For you. That's for Democratic voters to decide.
There are Republicans watching this. There are Republicans watching this going, great. So the Democrats are going to go for a far left progressive loon ball.
There are Republicans in Idaho that are going to a stadium to listen to AOC's
can I just
hacking stadiums in red states.
Yeah, James.
Could I just clear something? I said everybody's going to run, and the Democrats go shoot. Now I'll tell you, if you think the party's so bad, I will give you 5 points in the Virginia governor's race and bet you $1,000 right now. I'll bet you $1,000.
Well, I'll bet you 1,000.
And the Republicans
No,
are
I've got a better
running on trans stuff. They're running on that. Let's take the bet. $1,000. I'm laying 5 points. You want it? You're not, are you on?
I've got a better bet.
You're not on?
No.
Well,
I've got
wait.
a better bet.
No,
I want to bet
1,000.
Hang on. Let me respond.
Let's
Let me
take
respond.
1,000 of Virginia governors plus 5.
I will bet you that if they go for a progressive left candidate to run the party, then you will get flatlined in 2028. And I'll bet you 10,000 you get flatlined if it's progressive left.
Listen to me. Democratic voters are going to decide that. The Democrats have never elected the most left-wing person running for president. So I'm not worried. But you're not going to bet me on Virginia. You're talking about the most unpopular, dead political party that exists in Western political history, and I'm giving you 5 points. And you...
Yeah, but you already said, oh, Virginia, there's no way we're losing Virginia. Great, Virginia. But let's talk about the presidential stuff. That would be like saying, I bet you 5 points that a Democrat's going to win California. It's like, yeah, no shit. It's like, what kind of a bet is that? I mean, Virginia, right? Is Virginia a blue state or... Let me look it up. But why is he only focusing on Virginia? Is Virginia a blue or red state? Oh, it's a purple state. It's leaning blue. But it has voted Democrat in the last 4 presidential elections, with Biden winning by 10 points in 2020. The state has a Democratic governor, Glenn Youngkin, a Republican left office in 20, and the Democrat won the, okay. Yeah, so it's purple, but it's voted blue in the last, few elections. So I don't know what the hell freaking Carville is talking about here. But now they're going to start talking about don't mess with the Zohran Mamdani. So let's see what they have to say about that.
I mean, again, Piers, I'm a Democrat only 8 weeks. You could call me a conservative Democrat. My God, Mamdani won the nomination in New York City. Hell yes, the party needs to embrace him, enthusiastically embrace him. Show this freaking country and the world that Democrats understand we're a big tent. Mamdani may not be able to win in Tennessee or Kentucky. Joe Walsh couldn't win in New York City. This fear that Democrats have to embrace Mamdani is what's really going to piss their voters off. We should embrace him, just like we should embrace more moderate Democrats in other places as well.
But here's the problem with that, I think, is that the trouble with Mamdani is he's a good communicator. He looks the part. He sounds the part. I can see a lot of things going for him. But when you actually get into his public statements on the record, some of the stuff he said about the police, that alone to me makes him disqualifying as a serious
not the
candidate.
voters.
I mean,
Pierce, not disqualified.
Well, I'll tell you why.
Not to Democratic voters in New York City.
I was in New York. Well, I was in New York last week. I was in New York last week when the mass shooting happened. And, the PD reacted with incredible speed and incredible courage to stop that being a hell of a lot worse. And there you've got the guys who are going to be the mayor of the city, who's been saying terrible things about the NYPD, about defunding the police, about they're racist, they're homophobic, they're this, they're that, and the other. Imagine if you're in the NYPD right now and this guy's going to be your mayor.
Pierce, he didn't say any of that last week. He's said things in the past, and let's hope, and I believe he's learned from them because he's going to represent the whole city, including the police officers. He's 33 years old. He struck a chord. I have confidence that he's going to learn on some of these issues as well.
I don't.
Okay, well, we'll say, Canaboo, is Sydney Sweeney a Nazi?
Sorry. My last name is Abu Ghazaleh, by the way. I don't know. This has been a lot of discourse. Have I been
saying your surname wrong? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's Abu Ghazaleh.
Abu Ghazaleh.
I do apologize. I've got it down wrong here. My apologies.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of discourse on this. I am really more focused on the campaign trail right now, but it seems like a lot of people.
But do you think she's a Nazi for doing an advert? For doing an advert for American Idol in which she says that they say she's got great genes?
I don't think it's a great look. I don't really know much about her political opinions, especially the statement that
apparently she's a registered Republican. Apparently,
what'd you
she's
say?
a registered Republican. It emerged this week. Yeah, she's a
Yeah, I
she's a
wasn't that
Republican,
surprised.
apparently.
I had heard things about that, but frankly, I just this is another one of those like culture war issues that I think that American Eagle, that statement that they put out was really weird, especially the 1488 coincidence. But I'm a lot more concerned with things that are affecting people right now, and
bullshit.
that's housing, groceries, and healthcare being
Sorry,
completely
what was the coincidence you're talking about? Sorry.
There was one part of it that apparently had like 14 words and 88 characters, which may have been a coincidence, maybe not, but it's not a super great look for American Eagle.
Well, what are you getting at? What are you suggesting?
1488 is a notorious neo-Nazi dog whistle, but once again, could be a coincidence.
So they're all Nazis.
I literally
all
did not
Nazis.
say
What an
that. I am
idiot.
just, you asked me a question and I said I don't really care about this that much.
Yeah, I don't really care about this that much, but you know what? And then she brings up something that's totally like reading something into it. 1488 Nazi dog whistle, but she doesn't care about it so much. I didn't even know that about the whole 1488 thing about the what is it? Sydney Sweeney tweeted out something in 14. I don't know, and I don't care because I truly don't care about it. But she truly cares about it. She's even though she's claiming not to, like she's trying to shrug it off, saying, "Yeah, I think it's really weird." And 1488, yeah, but whatever. I actually really care about the economy, and it's like, yeah, bullshit, lady, bullshit. We all know deep down inside you fucking care about it. You're just trying to play it off because we're sick of this culture war bullshit that you guys do, but you guys just can't help yourself because you guys are insane.
And more
again, but
focused
here's my
on
problem
actual
again,
things that are
Kat. Here's my
affecting
problem again.
people.
Until you stop calling absolutely everybody you don't agree with Nazis, there is no way
I
you're going to win
literally
elections.
did not do that. You were just putting words in my mouth.
You did. You literally did that. In fact, Joe Walsh was shaking his head because he knew what you were about to say. Unless I'm mistaken,
I pointed
Joe,
out a coincidence that other people were talking about.
with
I am
promoting
literally
a ridiculous conspiracy
this.
theory.
Even like Harry Sisson was just kind of making a face like, ugh, shut up.
The American Eagle and Sydney Sweeney are Nazis. It's ridiculous. It makes you sound completely ridiculous.
I didn't say that. I just said that like it's a weird coincidence and I think it's not a great look. But once again, I don't really care. We have petitioning starting tomorrow.
Well, you care enough to say it's not a great look, and they were.
Yeah, because you asked me if Sydney Sweeney is a Nazi like 5 times in a row, and once again, I don't know.
Because I imagined, like any sensible human being, your response would be, "Of course she's not." Harry Sisson, is Sydney Sweeney a Nazi?
No. No, she's not. She did it.
No, I'm not tapped into this topic.
Now we all know that Harry Sisson might not think she's a Nazi, but I'm pretty sure he believes that was a racist ad. But you know what? I'll give credit to him for at least pretending to not be one of these insane lefties.
Harry, do you have any problem about people talking about their great genes?
No, I don't care. Like if I just don't care. Like I don't think Sydney Sweeney's a Nazi. I respectfully disagree with Kat on the 1488 thing. I'm not one for things like that. I just think this whole thing is stupid. I just don't care.
It's so stupid. And once again,
that's what I love. What I love is I didn't.
She's the one bringing up all these
I didn't know
conspiracy
anything
theories
about the
1488
1488 thing until she said that.
Yeah,
and she
exactly.
said it because she wants people watching this to think maybe they're all a bunch of Nazis. And that's the problem for the Democrat Party, is you see everything through the prism of if you don't agree with somebody, they must be Nazis or white supremacists.
Piers, I don't think you're a white supremacist or a Nazi. You and I disagree. Well, no, I mean, I'm just saying that as like, I don't think that anybody up here that's a Democrat thinks that everybody we disagree with is a Nazi. You and I disagree on plenty of issues and we have respectful conversations and they're always very insightful. And that's the case for many people I disagree with. I think you have to stop buying into these small, loud minority groups in the Democratic Party who happen to be the loudest. And they say, oh, this person's a Nazi, this person's a Nazi. Your average Democrat is not thinking that your average Republican's a Nazi. We can respectfully disagree.
Yeah. That's another thing they do too. They'll say, well, that's just a small part of the Democrat Party. They're just the loudest. Even if that were true, yeah, absolutely. They're the loudest, and you guys refuse to tell them to shut the hell up. You guys refused to tell them to shut the hell up because you guys know that they are a bunch of lunatics who are not above harassing, doxing, even physical violence against people that are their opposition. They even do it to AOC. Even to AOC, they harass AOC when she says something they disagree with. You guys are afraid of that minority that is in your base. You guys are way afraid of it. And that's why you guys don't distance yourselves enough from this loud minority, assuming that this really is just a loud minority. I personally think a lot of these people do feel the same way. They're just, they're better. Some of them are just better at pretending than others. Or, you know, I think they in general have the same thoughts on these things. They're either just better at pretending it or being a little bit more saner about it and covering it up. Okay. But yeah. But even if it were just a loud minority, the Democrats don't do enough to shut this loud minority up. And that's why it reflects on all of you guys.
Yeah,
Also,
you know,
most people
Pierce,
don't
by the
care
way,
about
Pierce,
this.
just
Joe.
to back up what Harry said, and I used to do some of this. The right is great at this.
Oh.
Pierce,
Here
you're
we
right
go.
that
This
Democrats
fucking guy.
often step in the culture war stuff and they don't defend it and they don't.
They don't just step in it, they cause it. They're the ones who actually started the culture war stuff. It's not just they accidentally, it's not like it's just we're over here having our culture war and then the left sometimes get mixed up in it. I'm like, oh shit, what did I get mixed up in now? Like, no, they're the ones who start it.
Fight. But this Sydney Sweeney thing, really, there might have been a few folks on the left who got bent out of shape about it, but this was not a defund the police moment. This was the right jumped all over this, and they were actually the ones really kind of pushing that the left's making a big deal out of a gorgeous young woman in a pair of jeans.
Oh, be careful.
To distract from the Epstein
I
files,
think she
might
was
I
just.
add.
Well, maybe.
Oh, yeah,
But
there you
if
go.
it did, it was successful. James Carville, how are Democrats actually going to win the next election? Give me a blueprint for success.
Well, of course we got. First of all, remember the Bud Light controversy? Boy, that cost everybody a lot of votes,
Yes.
didn't it? The Democrats are going to win the next election very simply. This is at this point, this is the most unpopular administration we've had in maybe American history since polling. We have not lost a special since the election. You're going to lose 1,000 pounds and you're going to lose a 200-pound lunch at Scott's. That's almost guaranteed. And as opposed to force-feeding Democrats a political nominee, Democrats are going to actually pick their own, and we're going to have a really good 2028. We're going to win the House back in 2026. There is a reasonable chance, and when I say reasonable, I mean something over 35%, that we win the Senate. So I am not at all in any kind of a doom and gloom scenario. And I think that the party is healthy. I think there are a lot of different factions. I think they're all going to present a candidate. Maybe some will have multiple candidates. And I think Democratic voters are going to choose wisely in 2028. That's what I really believe.
All right. Okay. Well, listen, Democrat strategist James Carville has spoken, and listen, I think he's he's probably the smartest person out of this group here, but I don't think, listen, I do think it's kind of doom and gloom. I mean, he just said himself, it's the most unpopular administration. His attitude of let's just kind of, I mean, you know, maybe I missed something, but it sounds like his attitude was just, let's not really change anything. Let's just kind of keep going the course and we'll win back the House and the Senate. And, you know, let me make sure I heard his complete answer, because there's a part where I kind of tuned out.
We're going to win the next election very simply. This is at this point, this is the most unpopular administration we've had in maybe American history since polling. We have not lost a special since the election. You're going to lose 1,000 pounds and you're going to lose a 200-pound lunch at Scott's. That's almost guaranteed. And as opposed to force-feeding Democrats a political nominee, Democrats are going to actually pick their own, and we're going to have a really good 2028. We're going to win the House back.
Okay, so yeah, it doesn't really offer any advice there or anything. Just that there's going to be different factions in there and everyone's going to present their candidates. I guess maybe he's saying that, like, we'll just see may the best man win, I guess. But I'm really I'm really not optimistic that I don't know. Like, I don't think the Democrats are going to regain the House. Why? What are the Democrats doing that is resonating with the American people? Why? The only reason the Dems gain back the House and maybe the Senate is because the Republicans fuck it up so badly. That's the only way I see that happening. So I don't know. Other than that, the Democrats have nothing really to offer. You're either getting socialists or you're getting, like establishment Dems. And I don't know. Like, I don't think either really have a chance. Like, maybe the socialists, because at least the socialists come off as genuine. But once you expose to people what they're really voting for, and especially too, let's say Zohran wins and they see that his district or his city goes downhill, I think that would be enough to turn off anybody to socialism. So I don't know. I think that they need to accept responsibility of all the things they've actually did wrong and actually realize what they did wrong. They need to fix that. That's pretty much it. And also, not only stay away from culture war stuff, but also they need to stay away from culture war stuff, and they need to actually propose good solutions that aren't just handouts. Because that's another thing they want. Like, their vision of helping the country is like either giving people like handouts, like social programs, or going against the capitalist forces, if you will, by like, putting caps on things and stuff. And, like rent control or things of that nature. And, like, I don't think in general people want that, I think if we're louder and we tell the reasons why that's not the way to go, I think people, would be understanding. I don't know. I just think they also do need to change their messaging, stay away from culture war stuff, and maybe improve on some of their policies.